Hello everyone, this is Billy's Monsters back again on my YouTube channel. It's been a minute, kind of back from the dead once again. If anyone is subscribed to my channel and knows me from my YouTube channel, how's it going? Yeah, I don't really use this too much anymore, but with, kind of the new stuff I'm getting into, I would like to be able to kind of get on here and post some videos of some of the stuff that I'm doing, so I'm going to be trying this out today with a video on Spike from Spirit Halloween. I got this guy on the Spirit Halloween website. I remember he went on discount for like I think 110, and then I had an employee discount, so I didn't pay a whole lot for this guy. And that's honestly how much this thing is worth. It is, for what his full price was, I think it was like 180. Like, this thing is tiny. The paint job looks not good on this thing, but I will give it the benefit of the doubt. The sculpt on the hands and the head is amazing. I love the sculpt on them. Amazing job to Spirit on that part, but the paint job lacks a lot. So I'm just gonna go in and repaint everything on him. I figured, hey, like, I think I can make him look a lot cooler and a lot more of an attention grabber and less of a filler prop. So you can kind of see me going in right now and doing the base tone of the head. For any sort of humanoid or anything that they'll have a regular kind of skin tone. I always go in with a reddish kind of undertone, sometimes more of a blue if I want more of a pale skin tone. But for this one, I wanted him to look like pretty fresh, like he, just got the spike thrown through his head and he died and became a zombie. I don't know, So, I mean, yeah, like I had the initial plan to go kind of green for this guy for a zombie, but I don't know. I'm just a sucker for the gore and the red flesh tones and all that, so that's kind of the vibe I was going for the with this guy here. And I'm starting this by going in and hand painting this all on. For anything I do for prop stuff and prop painting and prop making, I'm all self-taught. Like, it was just a COVID hobby I picked up on, and it's just progressed from there. So there could be better ways, there could be easier ways, there could be more efficient ways than the ways I do things. But some of you guys have just been asking for me to do a video on how I do it, so this is just gonna be how I do it. So yeah, I'm going in with a paintbrush, and I'm just doing that. And I also did the base coat on the hands. It's kind of like this reddish tone. I'm using Liquitex paint. I'm using just primary red, blue, and yellow, mixing the tones. Bit of white to give it the pale look, and then I'm going back in with another layer of that paint after the first one dried. Give that a good half hour to an hour to dry. And then I used the same color as before, but I added a bit more red and yellow to give it a more saturation, and a little bit more white, so that's just going to make it lighter and pop. So you're going to want to build those layers up as you go, and slowly adding more of your saturation and more of your skin tone and less of your red, if that makes any sense. And you can kind of see I messed it up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just going back in. Yeah, if you're gonna do kind of like the same tones that I'm talking about here with the red undertone, you're gonna want to build up more yellows and blues in your skin tone, because that way it'll neutralize the red to help cancel it out. But you're gonna want those reds kind of in the cracks and crevices to make it look like the skin is very, it just gives it that vibe. You kind of see it coming together. Alright, next I'm just mixing my highlight color. That's going to be again the last color I just used, but I'm going to be doing a little bit more white in this one to give it more of the highlight color from afar. It'll blend in and it'll make the cheekbones and the brow bones and the jawbone and all that kind of pop out. It'll help also define the jawline a lot more because his jaw is open, so there isn't a whole lot of a jawline there. But I'll go in and airbrush that more a little later to kind of help define that a bit. But there's not too much left I'm doing with the paintbrush. I only kind of do dry brushing if the prop itself is a harder material and it has texture in it. That way when you dry brush, you're going to be getting that texture that the sculpt has that never actually was visible really in production because it just had a solid color head. Alright, excuse the camera angle here. Like I said, I haven't really done filming like this before. I've actually tried to do prop painting videos before. You can kind of see in the background there's some other props painted. I've filmed probably all of those, but I just hated how the video turned out. But, I'm going to try to get this one out. But, for this guy, I'm now going in with the airbrush. I'm just kind of highlighting all of the cracks and crevices and the little scars and wounds on his head. I'm going in with this kind of purplish brown color, and then next, after that dried, I'm going in with this bone tone, kind of like this yellowish off-white, and I'm going in with a paintbrush and I'm just kind of filling in the teeth and all of the exposed bone. Again, this never even had this in production. It was just skin tone. I don't even know why Spirit didn't even try to paint the bones on this guy. I mean, it looked pretty cool with the sculpt, but not the paint job. It is possible to achieve the kind of darkened look with the eyes without an airbrush. I only started recently using an airbrush. I used to just go in with a brush by hand and then water it down with the edges and then kind of blend that together. So it is possible to go in and do that if you don't have an airbrush to be able to do that. Alright, and then here I'm just kind of going over all of the bone that I did, and I'm going in with kind of like this amberish tone to give it kind of an aged look, as if it was, a little dirty looking, just kind of giving it more definition, not just solid white as Spirit would have liked to have painted it, but they didn't. So alright, and excuse a little bit of a time jump. I kind of went in off camera and had his head in my lap, kind of just painting it up close for the eyes, but I went in with a little bit of red and went around the edges of the eyeballs and blended that together, and then kind of just did some gray circles to kind of map out where I wanted the eyes to be. And now I'm going in with a little bit of a light gray and some dark gray, and then going in the center of the eyes with a lighter gray, and then the edges of the iris itself going in with a darker gray. That way if you blend them together, it gives it that kind of realistic iris look. And then I'm just going in with like a dark gray, basically black, for the pupil in the middle. I wanted to kind of go for like a blind eye look, and then I ended up going for like these kind of like milky chromatic looking eyes, and I think they turned out pretty cool. And here I'm just going in with a clear coat of Mod Podge. This is just a matte Mod Podge. I'm doing this before I seal it. I usually seal it in with like an art resin or an art sealant. Actually, you can see right there in the background, that's the art sealant in that bottle. I use an art resin. I usually do that with anything hard plastic. I'll seal that in just to ensure that the paint doesn't flake off. But if you do a good amount of layers of Mod Podge and let that dry to where it's not tacky, that should be good enough too, because I've painted stuff by doing that. So yeah, this is just me putting the Mod Podge on top of that. And then I'm going over on the eyes and the tongue and anything that would be wet. I'm going in with a gloss varnish. I'm just using I believe it's a Liquitex brand. It's just from Michael's, just a gloss varnish that you'd use on a canvas. I've used this stuff before on solid plastic pieces or solid pieces, and it works really well. It'll make it look really glossy and realistic. Next, I'm just painting the stake, or the spike itself, I guess you could say. It was just a simple thing to do. I'm just going in with like a dark brown as the first tone, or the base tone on the piece of wood. And then once that dry, I'm just going with a blow dryer here to speed that up a bit. I went in with kind of like a lighter tone of that with a little bit more yellow to make it a bit more saturated. And then I went in with a third tone on top of that, which is a bit lighter, just to kind of give it some highlights, to really bring out that wood grain look. Again, this thing has a lot of nice detail in the sculpt, but the one in production was just solid brown with like a little bit of red airbrush paint on it. It has the sculpt there, but it just needed the help to kind of emphasize that. Alright, once again, excuse the time jump. I went in one night after work and I didn't even film. I just like started working on them and kind of just doing it. But I went in and I just thrifted a orange and gray flannel for him, threw that on him, and now I'm going in and doing the blood. I'm going in with some permablood, some Pale Knight Productions permablood, and I'm just going in with a brush and I'm tracing the edges of all his wounds, and then kind of blending that in with my finger to kind of look like the edges are bleeding but the bone's still exposed. And then I went in, of course, and made the stake itself all bloody, and I'm gonna drip some down. I also mixed a little bit of the permablood with some water so that it flows, so that I could have it drip realistically down the wounds across his face. So I kind of just poured a lot of that up into the wounds and let it dry, or let it drip down naturally. And then here I'm also kind of going around the edges into the skin itself to make the skin kind of red around the edges, as if it's, you know, I mean, the skin would be irritated if he's got a spike going right through his forehead. So I'm just adding that in here. Alright, now you can see him tracing the edge of the big wound on his head. And I'm going to go in with a dry brush and kind of blend those edges once it dries a bit. And that's a good way to make it kind of look smooth there. You can see him absolutely destroying some gum in the corner of this video. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for the blood on the face. I'm just gonna let that dry before I go in and I'm gonna let the base of that dry before I go in and do all the blood drops going down the face. And here you can see I brought him out into the garage. This is kind of where I had my haunt last year, so I have the panels still up. But I'm just going in with some matte black spray paint. I was going to airbrush this on, but I figured it'd just be easier to spray paint it. You can see him kind of dancing a little bit there, but I'm just going in with some black spray paint to weather up the costume, or not the costume, the shirt a bit. I also went in, I ripped up the bottom of it, if you can't see that there. Added some blood to the hands, on the bone, and on the other gore on the one hand. And I'm also getting a straw filled with permablood and then splatting it onto his face to kind of give him some blood splatter. And that's pretty much it for him. You know, you can kind of see, oh, this is where I'm doing the blood drops. I'm just going in with, like I said, some water mixed permablood, and I'm just pooling that up in the face and letting it naturally drip down and dry. But make sure to give that a good 12 to 24 hours to dry. And then yeah, that's pretty much it with the Spike repaint. He will be going for sale on my store very soon, in the spring. I know it's spring as of today, but keep posted on my Instagram. I will drop a link to my Instagram in the description of this video. Keep posted there, follow there. I will be posting all the props that I'm selling, but he will be for sale shortly. Thank you guys for keeping up with this video. Hopefully if you watched this far, you've enjoyed the repaint. Comment what you think on this, and comment any questions that you guys may have, and I'll be sure to get back to them for you guys. I'm just gonna throw in a demo of him now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.